Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we've got the first in what will hopefully be a series of very special videos for you guys. This is, I think, our first time shooting a video overseas. Now, worth pointing out, the museum did not pay for this trip. They're not paying for us to go on vacation. We are in Quezon, Taiwan, at the main naval base of the Taiwanese Navy to help USS Lucid strip parts off former minesweeper USS Implicit. Implicit was the last commissioned MSO-type minesweeper anywhere in the world, and she was just decommissioned earlier this year. Our good friends at USS Lucid, who have hosted us to film videos in the past, were able to set up a trip with the Chief of Naval Operations of the Taiwanese Navy. Thanks to Admiral Cox from Naval History and Heritage Command for setting that up, or helping to facilitate that by sending a letter over to the Taiwanese Navy. And we're here to take parts off of that ship to put on Lucid, which was largely stripped of her original fittings. So this ship is the last one in the world, the last place in the world where we can get these, and so it was worth it for them to come over here and get those parts, and we were allowed to tag along as well. So for today's video, I want to talk a little bit about one of the methods of disposing of former Navy ships. It's not a major method. I would say less than a quarter of ships get disposed in this way, at least for the US Navy. But it is a major way that the United States helps its allies and helps strengthen its own naval power by giving its, let's call them second-line warships, ships that have aged out of American service, to foreign navies. The Taiwanese Navy is a very strong Navy in a regional sense, maybe not a global power like the United States Navy, but in a regional sense, the Taiwanese Navy is very strong and very critical to the defense of this island nation. And since the Republic of China moved from mainland China to the island of Formosa, or Taiwan here, they have relied very heavily on second-hand US Navy warships. So for example, when the Taiwanese Navy is founded in the late 40s, early 50s, they're given a lot of second-hand Benson and Gleaves class destroyers. These were early war American destroyers that didn't have room for growth. They couldn't really be used heavily by the Navy post-war. And why would the US Navy want to in peacetime? Because we've built so many Fletchers, Sumners, and Gearing class destroyers, which were really first-rate, really new, and much more capable ships. So we start giving these ships out to many of our allied nations. Think about just about any Navy in NATO or our Pacific allied alliances, and we've given them ships at some point, oftentimes ex-World War II ships. About a decade later, as those original Bensons and Gleaves were running out of juice, the US Navy was starting to get rid of its late war-built destroyers like those Fletchers, Sumners, and Gearings, and so the Taiwanese Navy inherited a lot of them. Around the same time, they're also inheriting auxiliaries like LST landing ships, like minesweepers, like fleet tugboats, all of these ships that the US Navy built for World War II and then had a major surplus of post-war. So we could cut them up for scrap. That's the main way that you dispose of ships. But especially like in the 50s and 60s, when so many of these ships are going out of service at once, if the Navy starts selling them for scrap, well, now the value of scrap goes down and the Navy's not getting its full investment back from these ships for scrapping them. Plus, in many cases, they didn't have that many years of service on them. They just got superseded by newer and better ships, the wartime construction. And so it made sense to give them out to our allies, many of which were new countries that had just formed. The Republic of China here on what had been an island occupied by the Japanese even before World War II. Or countries like Greece that didn't really have a major navy, lost many of his ships during the German invasion, or even countries like France that had fought heavily during World War II, had a number of warships that survived the war, but had lost a number as well. Japan. Most of the Japanese Navy was destroyed during the war, so post-war they start to operate a number of American warships in the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force. And so post-war like that is a perfect time for this. Often our allies have lost ships, often there's a surplus of ships, and scrapping them is a problem. But it's not just post-war. Behind me, you can see two of the destroyers of the Kidd class. These 4 destroyers were originally built as upgraded Spruance-class destroyers intended for the Shah of Iran's navy, but they were still under construction when the Shah's government was overthrown. So the United States Navy bought them, took them over for a number of years, but then as the Cold War ended, they were really surplus to the US Navy's needs, and they were frontline guided missile destroyers. Particularly, they have tremendous air defense capabilities, but they weren't the most up-to-date air defense ships. The Spruance class also gets upgraded into Ticonderoga class cruisers with the Aegis radar system, which is still to this day the premier anti-air naval radar system in the world. But in the 1990s, the US Navy doesn't want to give stuff like that away. It's brand new, it's still largely classified, but these Spruances are the next step down, or excuse me, these Kidds, modified Spruances, are the next step down. They're great ships, but they're really surplus to the US Navy's needs. So by selling them to Taiwan, they're still frontline assets in another navy. They're regional allies that's operating them, so assuming there is a war in the Pacific, they will likely support the US Navy in any operations. It's worth pointing out that the US Navy and the Taiwanese Navy do operate together heavily. While we've been here at the naval base, we've run into a number of folks. Just about everybody speaks English. Many of them have served alongside the US Navy in exercises and other drills and things like that. There are other ways of disposing ships. We already talked about how scrapping is the most prevalent. You can sell them to civilian ships once they've been stripped down as weapons. Guided missile destroyers don't really work as that. Although the US Navy did sell off some 4-stacker destroyers to be used as banana boats, so it is possible. Or you can use them in sink exercises. If you sink X a ship like this, you're able to test weapons, you're able to test the effectiveness of the ship at taking hits from weapons, and it's great for testing. The original USS New Jersey BB-16 was sink X'd in early tests with aircraft. So there are other options, but probably the one that gets the most value out of a ship is foreign sales. Do you think all US Navy warships should be sold to foreign countries? Let us know in the comment section down below. Like I said, by rough estimate, probably about 1/4 of them are. Do you think we should be giving them out to everybody or not? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, as well as from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below to support USS Lucid and the ongoing restoration efforts that they have. We really encourage you to donate to that. It's pretty expensive to get all the parts from over here back to Stockton, California, and then to reassemble them on board Lucid. So really appreciate your support for them. You can support Battleship New Jersey by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.